Last week, I had the incredible opportunity to attend a preview event for Dune Awakening, courtesy of Funcom. This early access allowed me to dive into the initial stages of the game as a fresh player. During this preview, I explored 3 distinct zones of the map known as Haga Basin and experienced the first few levels and items available to players. This full experience amounted to approximately 20 hours of gameplay, and I must say, it was pretty fun. We'll delve into the finer details shortly, but rest assured, I'll keep things spoiler free. So, what is Dune Awakening, you ask? At its core, the game is a survival MMO that challenges players to build, craft, and survive in the unforgiving climate of Arrakis, a world rich with lore and danger. Now, as we begin to explore the narrative, let me briefly touch on the story of Dune without revealing any major plot points. For those familiar with Frank Herbert's Dune, it's essential to note that this game's story diverges significantly from the original material. Set in an alternate reality where Paul Atreides was never born, the game unfolds in a fictional timeline completely detached from the events of the books and films. The great houses familiar to fans of Dune are still around, but there's no Lisan al-Gaib, no Kwisatz Haderach, and even the Fremen seem to be extinct. You play as an agent of the Imperium on a mission to Arrakis to locate the Fremen. Now, I won't delve deeper into characters or the plot to avoid spoiling the fun, but what I can tell you is that the story, at least from my experience in the preview, is pretty engaging. The cutscenes are well crafted and the voice acting is top notch. The main storyline is structured as journey-style missions, allowing you to follow journey cards throughout your adventure. These journeys not only add to the story, but also introduce you to crafting and using various items along the way. As you progress, you'll embark on different types of spice-enhanced experiences that come with the unique gameplay styles. Some of these spice trips will challenge your combat skills, while others will test your problem-solving abilities as you navigate the terrain. Throughout your journey, you'll also encounter the great houses fighting for control over Arrakis. You can pledge your allegiance to a house and complete special contracts as a mercenary while gaining access to unique merchants. Just remember, you can only betray a house once. Now let's dive into the gameplay because there's so much to discuss. As I mentioned, Dune Awakening is a survival MMO, blending MMO features with a heavy focus on survival. But this isn't your typical survival game where you just manage your food and water. Arrakis is a treacherous environment, and from the moment you crash land on the planet, you'll quickly realize the unique challenges you face. As you traverse the dunes, you'll be juggling multiple survival factors: heat, hydration, and the unforgiving terrain that all seem to be bent on ending your life. Water is a precious resource in Dune Awakening, and you'll soon discover just how scarce it is in this sandy wasteland. Not only will you need water for hydration, but it's also integral to crafting. Your introduction to water collection begins with drinking dew from desert plants that form in the early morning. Later on, you'll gain access to the blood extractor, a tool that allows you to harvest the blood of your fallen enemies and convert it into water. As your experience grows, you'll also learn how to construct bases that can collect water from the desert winds. But gaining water is only half the battle. You also need to conserve what you have while traversing Arrakis. Heat is another survival component you'll encounter almost immediately. You'll quickly learn to navigate using the shadows of rock formations because being exposed to the sun for too long can lead to a heat stroke. If that happens, your water supply will dwindle, draining your health until you can hydrate again. Luckily, pretty soon you'll master the art of crafting the iconic still suit, which helps you retain your body's water and recycles what you lose through sweat and, well, other means. Some areas are also contaminated with radiation, so you'll need to monitor your exposure carefully. I only stumbled upon one irradiated area during the playtest, but it's clear that later in the game, radiation may pose a significant threat across large map sections. To survive, you'll need to utilize every resource you can find in the desert. Arrakis is littered with trash that can be salvaged for metal. You'll gather all sorts of resources like fiber, dew from plants, and mine for rocks and various metals. Smaller salvageable materials can be picked up directly from the ground, while larger pieces require the use of a cutting tool. Mining involves a fun minigame where you'll scan each rock or metal piece to identify weak points, then follow a specific pattern with your cutter to successfully extract the resource. Many materials and components can also be found by clearing out camps and strongholds scattered throughout the map. Also, some of the enemies will drop weapon parts once defeated, adding another layer to the scavenging aspect of the game. Crafting is a crucial aspect of Dune Awakening, as most weapons, tools, and armor will be crafted through the system. While you can discover items in the world or loot them from scavengers, anything you find will likely be damaged. This is a key feature of the game. Each item has a durability rating that decreases every time you repair it, meaning you can't rely on a single piece of gear forever. You'll need to craft replacements frequently. You'll learn to craft items by researching them first. There's a neat little system for item research that encourages exploration and progression. Gathering intel points, which can be earned by leveling up or clearing out strongholds, is essential for this. However, keep in mind that some items are locked behind level or journey requirements. Once you accumulate enough intel points and have researched an item, it's crafting time. You can whip up basic weapons and makeshift clothes with your own hands, but for the higher tier gear, you'll need to build a base first. The crafting system is well organized, with recipes tied to the materials you harvest. As soon as you start gathering copper, you'll unlock crafting recipes that require copper. Once you get your hands on iron, new crafting options will become available. It's a straightforward and satisfying progression system. As I mentioned earlier, most crafting is done using workbenches that you build in your base. There's a wide variety of workbenches, some for refining raw materials, others for crafting, and some for repairing or recycling old items into raw materials. Base building itself is super engaging. There's a ton of building blocks with various connectors and access points, allowing you to create a unique home that stays true to the Dune aesthetic. It took me a little while to figure out how to navigate the building menu, but once I did, I had a blast constructing my base in both sub-regions of the map. Base building is pretty simple. Gather resources and then use the building tool to place different blocks like foundations, walls, roofs, and so much more. Everything snaps into place smoothly, making the building experience enjoyable. Now your base will need power, which you'll generate through fuel cells scattered around the map. To keep your base from decaying, you'll need to refuel it regularly. The storage system is another highlight. It's integrated with your base, linking to all workbenches in your land claim. This means no more rummaging through countless boxes looking for that specific item. You can craft directly out of the boxes without having to find all items before you start the craft. Plus, you can quick deposit items already stored within your chest, saving tons of time when organizing, which I think are both great quality features when it comes to base building. During this playtest, I only had access to iron level schematics, which unfortunately locked me out of so many cooler options, like advanced fabricators and wind turbines for sustainable power. Just like building your base, you'll also get to build vehicles in Dune Awakening. The vehicle building system is pretty engaging. You'll need to research each component like tracks, engines, chassis, and so on using intel points, then craft and assemble all these parts into a vehicle with your welding kit. These vehicles are highly customizable. You can add some different schematics to suit your needs, like increasing storage capacity or adding extra seats. During the playtest, I managed to build and upgrade a sand bike, but I can't wait to see what other vehicles will be available at launch. Now, I've seen in the construction menu that there will be some kind of sand buggies, sand crawlers, and the iconic ornithopter. Some future vehicles will even be designed for mining and resource gathering, but in my case, I couldn't upgrade my sand bike with any gathering modules during the preview. Most items you craft, whether it's a sand bike, a weapon, clothing, or tools, will be customizable. There's a whole menu dedicated to personalizing your items, letting you change their appearance or colors. I'm sure we'll see a ton of customization options when the game launches. Now, let's chat about combat, because it feels pretty solid. Depending on your chosen class, you'll juggle long-range fighting with lore-accurate dart rifles and gadgets like a hunter-seeker, or you can use close-range melee weapons like daggers and swords. You'll have dodging and parrying mechanics in place, as well as personal shields that can only be penetrated by a slow blade attack, which is very true to the Dune universe. In my opinion, combat in Dune Awakening raises the bar for survival games, which often suffer from clunky controls. The developers seem to have put a lot of thought into player choice during conflicts, making combat fast-paced and easy to pick up, while also offering depth and strategy. There were moments where I felt like I could take on multiple enemies, but then suddenly I'd find myself overwhelmed and needing to retreat because health was running low. You'll find yourself constantly seeking cover while navigating the environment and using abilities to stay alive. The AI isn't exceptionally intelligent, but they do a reasonable job pursuing players and keeping the action engaging. Most of the time, a single enemy isn't a problem, but things get really intense when they gang up on you. It's definitely a game where having a buddy by your side could make all the difference. Now, speaking of combat, we need to talk about the class system. When you first jump into the game, you'll go through character creation and answer a few questions about your character. One of the key choices is selecting your mentor, which determines your starting abilities. This choice will guide your initial skill tree, but you can mix and match later on. At the beginning, you have 4 options. There's the Trooper, who specializes in traditional warfare, skills with focus on ranged weapons. Then you've got the Mentat, a tactician who excels in stealth, assassination, and long-range shots. The Bene Gesserit is like a mage class of the Dune universe, focusing on mental skills and using the voice to command enemies. Lastly, there's the Swordmaster, who's all about close-range melee combat and has abilities to help you get in range quickly or take on multiple foes. Now, as you level up, you'll earn skill points to invest in these skill trees, but you'll also find trainers in the world who can teach you how to use abilities from other classes, giving you plenty of freedom to customize your character by endgame. Imagine a character who uses Bene Gesserit's voice skills along with sword fighting, or a defensive Swordmaster using Trooper and Swordmaster skills. There's so many possibilities. During the playtest, I found a trainer for a new skill tree called the Planetologist, which focuses on crafting, gathering, and movement. This fit nicely with my Mentat, enhancing my mobility for sniping enemies. The skill system is cool, and the ability to customize your character will really impact how you approach different situations. It also adds depth to group gameplay, as each player can focus on different skills during combat. Just imagine the possibilities when you engage in PvP scenarios. Now, as you might know, spice plays a significant role in the Dune universe, and your character will later have spice experiences too. Consuming spice, whether by inhaling, eating, or being exposed to spice fields, allows you to progress towards a prescient state. This state grants you access to the 3rd active ability, reduces cooldowns, and boosts damage while making you immune to poison. However, after experiencing this prescient state, you'll face spice withdrawal, making it temporarily impossible to consume spice again. The more you consume, the more your tolerance builds, making it harder to reach that prescient state again. This adds an interesting element to PvP fights, as players will need to plan when they use spice to give them the upper hand in a fight. The implications of spice consumption on character progression and combat will definitely contribute to the game's depth. Now, Arrakis is a harsh world, and death comes with serious consequences. Upon dying, you may drop items from your backpack at your death location, and in some cases, you even lose everything you have, meaning that you'll have to craft everything again, like new gear, tools, and weapons. But this happens only if you're caught by a Coriolis storm or by the sandworm. Now, speaking of sandworms and Coriolis storms, let's take a closer look at the map design and environmental elements of Dune Awakening. During this preview, I explored the 3 subsections of the first map in Dune Awakening, which gave me a glimpse of what to expect at launch and beyond. As you probably know, Arrakis is a scorching desert world filled with sand dunes and rock formations, and the game does an excellent job of capturing that. Traveling through the map, you really feel the heat when you're out in the sun. The environment is teeming with loot, scavenger camps, ancient ruins, and rock formations with hidden caves, all filled with threats ready to ambush you. Early in your journey, you'll encounter sandworms and learn their behavior. They travel across open sands but avoid rock formations. These rocky outcrops not only provide shelter from the sun, sandworms, and sandstorms, but also serve as prime locations to scavenge for materials. When you start, you'll rely on your eyesight to spot these rock formations, as much of the map is shrouded in a fog of war that you'll uncover as you venture forth. Exploring these formations is exciting, as your characters can climb almost any surface, but be mindful of your stamina. Survey probes can be launched from elevated positions to uncover valuable resources hidden in the terrain. These rock formations are where most of the content during the playtest was located, housing plenty of camps, caves, strongholds to explore, and trader posts where you can complete contracts or trade with local merchants. You'll also come across massive shipwrecks, serving a significant landmark visible from afar. These locations are not only rich in loot, but also serve as a PvP hotspot, where players can engage in the War of Assassins mode. Navigating Arrakis is a strategic experience, as you'll constantly need to plan your routes using the shadows of rock formations while staying close to them to avoid sandworms or incoming sandstorms. During a sandstorm, you can seek refuge in many caves or rock holes scattered around these formations. I found the first region relatively easy to navigate thanks to the close proximity of the rock formations. However, as I ventured forth, the formations became more spaced apart, making traversal more challenging. especially when relying on a vehicle, because the vibrations they produce can quickly attract sandworms, making it a risky choice. But as you cruise over the open sands, a sandworm threat bar will show up on your screen indicating the vibrations you're creating. So you can be somewhat vigilant as you traverse the open sands. But when it turns red, you better find safety fast because that means it's onto you. The open sands are also filled with hazards like quicksand and drum sand. Quicksand can be lethal, but drum sand increases vibrations, attracting sandworms even faster. The game also features a full day and night cycle, which dramatically alters gameplay dynamics. Night travel is definitely more forgiving, but players must contend with Sardaukar ship patrols, equipped with spotlights actively hunting you in the darkness. Now visually, Dune Awakening is stunning, boasting an art style that perfectly captures the essence of Arrakis. The sand dunes come to life as you traverse them, with particles of sand displacing and leaving trails and clouds of sand in your wake. Vehicle animations are pretty impressive, especially when you jump off a dune with the sand bike and land back on the ground, or when a sandworm travels beneath the surface, displacing massive amounts of sand. The rock formations are beautifully crafted, each one looking unique, and the different biomes bring distinct color schemes that keep the experience fresh as you explore. Shadows play a significant role in the game, and they're executed perfectly. There's something immersive about watching a massive ship fly overhead, casting a moving shadow on the ground, making you feel like you're truly in this universe. The animations are fluid, whether you're traversing the environment or engaging in combat. Even the AI displays interesting animations when searching for you or fighting in melee combat. Now, it's really important to remember that this is a full-on sandbox game, and usually these types of games have high performance demands. While the graphics may not be the absolute best on the market, they suit the setting perfectly. Plus, considering the barren desert landscape, I think the developers did a commendable job. Sound design is also crucial for surviving on Arrakis, and the game really excels in this area. Weapon sounds are satisfying, and the environment audio cues provide us with lethal information. You'll hear the wind and the sand, the crunch of your footsteps in the sand, the crash of another ship, and the ominous sound of the sandworm lurking nearby. All of these elements contribute to creating a living, breathing world, and the audio design aligns closely with what the fans have come to expect from the Dune universe. And there you have it. That was my preview of Dune Awakening. From its intriguing story and immersive gameplay to the stunning graphics and sound design, I think there's so much to look forward in this survival game. And remember, in this review, we've only looked at the first 20 hours of the game. There's so much more to come at launch. Think advanced vehicles, faction gameplay, and the massive final frontier, the deep desert. Also, mark your calendars because there's another playtest happening on May 9th. Who knows, maybe some of you will get the chance to join me on Arrakis and experience all the chaos firsthand. Thanks again to Funcom for this incredible sneak peek, and to you, the viewers, are you excited to dive into Dune Awakening when it releases? Will you be brave enough to venture into the deep desert? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more videos like this. If you want to chat with me or other members of the community, or even play a few games together, be sure to join my Discord server. Or you can drop by my Twitch live streams. I usually stream 2 days a week, and Dune Awakening is definitely on my radar. I can't wait to hang out with y'all. Until next time, happy gaming, and may the spice flow.